was around 1:30 in the morning when Marcus and his friend Daniel decided to drive home after spending the evening at a friend's house. They were about 40 minutes from home when the car's fuel light came on. There wasn't much around them, just a dark highway, trees on both sides, and an occasional street light. Then Daniel spotted a gas station ahead. It looked old, almost abandoned, but the lights were on. They pulled in. There was only one other vehicle at the station, a dark SUV parked near the building. Marcus got out and started filling the tank. Daniel went inside to grab some water. A few seconds later, Marcus noticed something strange. The SUV's headlights turned on, then off, then on again. He looked toward the driver's seat. Nobody appeared to be inside. Marcus assumed someone was sitting low and ignored it. A minute later, Daniel came running out of the store. "Get in the car." Marcus stared at him. "What happened?" "Just get in." Daniel wouldn't explain. They jumped into the car and drove away. After a few minutes, Marcus asked again. Daniel finally said, "The guy behind the counter told me we shouldn't have stopped here." Marcus laughed. "Why?" Daniel looked serious. "He said that SUV has been sitting here every night for weeks." Marcus glanced at the rearview mirror. The SUV wasn't following them, so they kept driving. About 10 minutes later, Marcus noticed something. There were headlights behind them. The same dark SUV. Daniel immediately called their friend, who was still awake at home. He told him what was happening. Their friend said, "Don't go home. Drive to the police station." So Marcus changed direction. The SUV followed. For nearly 20 minutes, it stayed behind them, never getting too close, never falling far behind. Then Marcus reached the police station. The moment he turned into the parking lot, the SUV continued straight. It disappeared. The two friends sat there in silence. A police officer eventually came outside and asked what happened. Marcus explained everything. The officer listened carefully. Then he asked one question. "Which gas station?" Marcus gave him the location. The officer's expression changed. He told them that the station had been closed for several months. Marcus immediately pulled out his phone. He had taken a picture of the gas station while they were there. The officer looked at it, then said something Marcus still remembers. "That sign hasn't been there in years." Marcus looked at the picture. The gas station was clearly visible. The lights were on. The pumps were working. And in the background, the dark SUV was parked exactly where Marcus remembered it. But there was something else. In the driver's seat of the SUV was a person staring directly at the camera. Marcus never stopped anywhere on that road again. Emily was driving home alone after a late night shift. It was almost 2 a.m. She had been exhausted and just wanted to get home. The roads were mostly empty. About 15 minutes into the drive, Emily noticed something in her rearview mirror. A shadow. It looked like someone was sitting in the back seat. She immediately turned around. Nothing. Just her jacket lying across the seat. Emily laughed nervously and kept driving. A few minutes later, she saw it again. This time, the shape looked taller. She turned on the interior light. Nothing. She checked the doors, locked. She told herself she was simply tired. Then her phone buzzed. It was her younger brother. He had sent her a message. "Are you home yet?" Emily replied, "Almost." A few seconds later, another message arrived. "Why is someone sitting behind you?" Emily froze. She looked at the message again, then slowly checked the rearview mirror. Nothing. She called her brother. "Why did you say that?" He sounded confused. "I didn't." Emily stared at her phone. The message was still there. She asked him to send a screenshot of their conversation. He did. There was no message. The message Emily had received wasn't from him. Someone else had somehow sent it. Emily immediately pulled into a brightly lit parking lot. She locked every door and called the police. While waiting, she noticed something on the back seat. Her jacket had moved. She was certain she had left it folded against the passenger side door. Now it was lying in the middle of the seat. Emily didn't touch it. A police officer arrived a few minutes later. He checked the vehicle. Nothing. Nobody was inside. The officer told her she could either follow him home or have the car inspected. Emily chose to follow him, but before leaving, the officer noticed something. One of the rear doors wasn't completely closed. Emily insisted she had locked it. The officer opened it. Nothing was there. But underneath the seat, they found a small object. It was a phone. Emily didn't recognize it. The phone was still on. There were several recent photos stored on it. The last photo had been taken only minutes earlier. It showed Emily driving. The picture had been taken from inside her own car. Emily immediately stopped driving alone at night after that. She still doesn't know who left that phone there, and she never found out how long someone had been inside her car. Tyler and 3 friends rented a small cabin for one night after spending the evening hiking. The cabin was old, but it looked comfortable. They cooked dinner, played cards, and stayed up talking. Around midnight, everyone went to bed. Tyler woke up around 3 a.m. At first, he didn't know what had woken him. Then he heard it. 3 knocks. Knock, knock, knock. They were coming from somewhere down the hallway. Tyler assumed one of his friends was awake. He opened his bedroom door. The hallway was completely dark. He turned on the light. Nobody was there. Then he noticed something he'd never seen before. At the end of the hallway was a door. Tyler was certain it hadn't been there earlier. He walked toward it. Before he could reach it, his friend Jake opened his bedroom door. "What are you doing?" Tyler pointed toward the door. Jake stared. "Don't open that." Tyler asked why. Jake said he had heard the same knocking earlier. They woke the other 2 friends. Everyone stood in the hallway. Someone suggested checking the door. Jake refused. Then came 3 more knocks. This time, they were louder. Knock, knock, knock. Nobody moved. One of the friends whispered, "Maybe it's an animal." Tyler slowly approached the door. He put his hand on the handle. It was cold, very cold. He turned it. The door opened. There was no room behind it. Just another narrow hallway. And at the end of that hallway was another door. The 4 friends stared at each other. Then the door behind them slammed shut. They ran. They rushed outside and stayed in their car until sunrise. When they finally returned to the cabin, something was different. The hallway was normal. There was no extra door. Tyler thought maybe they had imagined the entire thing until he noticed something on his phone. His phone had automatically recorded a short video during the night. He opened it. The video showed the hallway. The camera was pointed directly at the mysterious door. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then the door slowly opened, but the camera wasn't being held by Tyler. It was sitting on the floor inside the hallway. The video ended when a shadow moved across the doorway. Tyler checked the cabin's layout online later. There was no hallway behind that wall. There wasn't supposed to be any space there at all. The strangest part, when they left the next morning, Tyler looked back at the cabin. There was no door, but there were 3 fresh scratches on the outside wall, exactly where the mysterious door had been. Tyler never went back, and neither did his friends.